Hello Gemini, welcome to this reading. We are going to be taking a look at the energies and predictions for the sign of Gemini for the rest of August. Now do keep in mind that this is a general reading, so take the messages as they resonate, drop the ones that do not, and also check out your sun, moon, and rising signs. All right, Gemini, let's go ahead and get into this reading here for you, see what's coming forward for you during this mid-August update. So we'll be taking a look at the rest of August here. We'll go ahead and get all of the cards out, get everything set up and in view, and then we'll get right into it for you. Okay. All right. Okay. There we go. Looking good enough to me. Energy on the bottom, amazing. Gemini, you have the sun. So the sun, it's the most positive card in the tarot. It's the best card from my perspective in the tarot. And, the sun can suggest that some of you here are feeling like for the rest of August, you're feeling like you have like a high level of vitality. You have a high level of energy, positivity, good spirits. The sun card can also talk about overwhelming success as well in the tarot. So it's really a catch-all card for some sort of positive message in a tarot reading. It augments all of the cards around it. This is on the bottom, right? But the fact that we start off here with the sun is amazing. Now, the other thing about the sun is it is a card that can speak to ultimate truth. Okay, the sun can expose truth or shed lights, right? You think about the sun, something being brought into the light. The sun can bring about or expose some sort of important truth in your life, right? And especially if it's combined with like swords, because swords can represent the truth in a certain way as well as the swords connect to law, okay? Finding the ultimate truth. So if there's something that you're unclear about in your situation here, the sun's influence may suggest that you get clarity, right? It comes out, it's brought forward for you as well. So let's see what this is about. We do have two court cards here. Okay, so certainly some of you could be dealing with like you're trying to find, basically like some of you could be trying to find the truth within a situation connected to another person, right? Like, is this person honest? What's going on with this person? There could be something that you need to sort of like mediate there, as you also have the Eight of Swords. We'll talk about that more as we go along. If you're curious about what's going on with a person, you may find some truth in that scenario. I would also think, though, on a different level, there is absolutely some good signs of success here for you, Gemini. So right away, not just the sun, but also some other cards here. Right away in the middle, you do have the King of Cups. King of Cups is, an energy that can speak to you maybe really having a strong intuition about something at this time. King of Cups is also not only an intuitive sign, but an ultimate dreamer as well. They're completely comfortable, as you see, being in the middle of the ocean, dreaming of what could be. This is a romantic as well in the tarot. Somebody who has a high emotional intelligence, a high EQ in the tarot as well. Some of you here are going to want to pay attention to your dreams during this period of time. You have two messages connected to that with the King of Cups as well as the Four of Swords. So I think that you could be getting some dream messages here as well. Maybe I always like to think of certain dreams as like breadcrumbs into, maybe how our psyche is reacting to something, or even or our subconscious, but even sometimes dreams can be predictive as well and kind of show us a little bit of a breadcrumb or a snippet into the future. That has certainly happened to me many times. So some of you may have a pretty prominent dream here as well. During this period of time. Let's go ahead and see what's in the first column. You have the Temperance card, the Hanged Man, and the Four of Swords. So I feel like there is, first I should say that, for the rest of August, we've kind of got like clear skies, so to speak, okay? Clear skies ahead, so to speak, in terms of the astrology. The retrograde is behind us. We don't really have anything major here happening in August, other than, the eclipse season, the second series of eclipses, is right around the corner. It's in September, but for the rest of August, it's pretty quiet, so to speak. And so what I would say is I almost feel like some of you just need almost like a period of rest here. Okay, some of you need a period of rest, is what I'm seeing. In these first three cards, Temperance, Hanged Man, Four of Swords, all of these cards are passive cards, okay, in the tarot. These are not active energies, okay? Even the King of Cups is not an active energy, okay? I almost feel like some of you are kind of allowing the universe to show you what it needs to show you, allowing life to sort of steer you in a certain direction, right? And it doesn't mean that you're not capable of, taking action or whatever the case may be, but sometimes we're kind of just guided, We sometimes in life we kind of have down moments or downtime. And I don't mean that like emotionally down, but we have some downtime, we have some moments where we're just kind of guided, and I get a sense that some of you are in that space right now, between now and the end of August, where it's sort of like maybe you're gearing up for something, okay? Maybe September's big, maybe September's big or something along those lines. But in August, it's sort of like the Temperance card, this is an energy of healing after a transformation, This person is dipping their toe in a pool of healing water. As you see, the angel on the Temperance card, the sun's actually in the background here, presumably. And, it can talk about rejuvenation, restoration, healing, harmony, even some balance as well, and moderation, okay? Moderation. You then here have the Hanged Man, which this person is not really actively doing anything, like in terms of like physically actively doing anything, right? They are doing something, which is like meditating or contemplating or gaining enlightenment, you could say. You see the halo around their head. So they are doing something, but they're not active in that, right? They're sort of in a passive energy. You could also say the Hanged Man sort of like in a period of limbo as well. And then finally, the Four of Swords, this person's resting from heartbreak. The Four of Swords comes after the Three of Swords. But if it's not about heartbreak, it can just indicate rest generally. They even have their hand here, as you see, in a prayer stance, right? So you have this energy of needing to rest, okay? I think that if some of you can carve out some time and space to, sort of rejuvenate yourself or give yourself some healing, give yourself some rest time, I think that would be really beneficial. And I would predict that some of you are going to have that time in August. Maybe it's through a vacation, maybe it's through, a couple days off of work, whatever it is. I predict that some of you are going to be doing this, and it could be really healing for you. In the middle here, you have the Seven of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Six of Wands. Six of Wands is a card of victory and success, particularly if you've gone through some sort of battle here in the past, or you've had some sort of difficulty or hardship in the past. The Six of Wands would suggest you've won. Okay, you've won over that scenario. So it's a really solid card. This person's being paraded through a crowd. They're cheering this person on, and you have this idea here with the Six of Wands and the Sun of success available to you. I think, like intuitively, I think this comes towards the end or the latter part of the month. I think there's like a stretch here where you're really, really taking some time. Yeah. And what I would also say is I think some of you are maybe out in front of people as well, with the Six of Wands and the sun being in the sunlight. And then the Six of Wands, they're in a crowd, right? They're the star of the show, so to speak. And I think some of you are out in front of people, so this may be on social media, this may be in your workplace. Generally, I see that after this period of rest, you will have some exposure, so to speak, in some area as well, in whatever capacity that may come for you. You then here have the Seven of Pentacles. It's almost like some of you need some time to think. I think some of you need some time to think, okay? You see this person is sort of like, they are also in a period of contemplation. So you kind of see this here with the Hanged Man and the Seven of Pentacles, right? This person's really thinking about their harvest and what to do with it. And it's possible that some of you just need some space to think, okay? And maybe like strategize or kind of gather your resources, so to speak. I almost get a sense that you are gearing up for a pretty big September here, okay? And the rest of August for you, I think, is going to be pretty nice. I think it's going to be pretty nice. The Seven of Pentacles may also suggest you're looking at some long-term money goals as well. We really only have two Pentacles cards here, but the influence of the Sun is nice. So in the final column, you have the Eight of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. The Eight of Swords person is, it's an energy that it can kind of be like a mental entrapment. In other words, you may feel like just in the mind space, you can't get out of a thought loop. There's in other words, rumination. Rumination. You can't get out of a thought loop, and this person's like a little frozen in time. Everybody's has had that feeling of being frozen, and it may feel like there's just not a solution to something right now, which is actually why I think some of you are taking a moment to maybe declutter your calendar, right? Like remove some things from your calendar, take some engagements off the calendar, so to speak, so you have a little bit of, so you can get unstuck, so to speak, here, as you see this person's entangled in a certain way, right? You then here have the Queen of Swords, which can bring about like some direct thinking and even direct action, kind of the opposite of what's going on, which is why I think things are going to pick up for you towards the latter part of the month here. Okay. This can also be your sign. Queen of Swords could be any air sign. But the one thing is for sure with the Queen of Swords, you'll always know where you stand with the Queen of Swords because they are not afraid to tell you how they think or how they feel or what they feel about a situation, right? So it can talk about direct, clear communication and even action. So I think that this is probably coming towards the latter part of the month. You then here have the Page of Pentacles, which can bring about offers and opportunities in really to learn, to study, to grow. It can bring about offers and opportunities in money scenarios as well. The pages are messengers, so some of you could get some news here coming up. So why don't we go ahead and let's take a look at the Oracle cards. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the Oracle cards and see what's coming forward for you here. We're going to move into the clarifications portion of this reading, and then so we'll start with Oracle cards, and then we'll move into tarot cards. All right. I think that's good. There we go. All right. Energy on the bottom. You have Michael. Spiritual acceleration. You are experiencing spiritual upgrades. Move forward. All right. So with the Hanged Man, that's definitely like that type of energy. Some of you maybe are falling back on or leaning in on some sort of like spiritual practice, right, in your situation. So let's see what else. Let's expand on that. Okay. You have Charity, Pillar of Service. Serve with a gracious heart and know that God is serving you, as well as hope. Authentic reclamation. It's time to call back all the lost parts of yourself. Okay. Everybody has been getting this hope card. Hope. Okay. This idea of authentic reclamation, this idea of authenticity, it's been coming in for every sign. Okay. Here's a new one. Sort of new. Metatron. Heaven to earth. Your current situation is in alignment with your mission on earth. Okay. Daniel, divine discernment, trust in the messages within, they are divinely guided. I take that Metatron card as kind of like being on the right path. Even if you feel like you're not actively doing something, or it's like, do I have to rest? Or like maybe you're somebody who doesn't like to take breaks, maybe like, and I can relate to that, for example, like when I get sick, I don't like being sick because I'm not doing anything, I'm sure many of you like don't know how to handle like getting a common cold or needing to take a day off work, because you like to work or you like to be active. But now Spirit is saying, wait, you need some rest here. You need a moment here. You then have Raphael, clarity of vision. Be willing to see things differently to initiate healing and experience wholeness. And Orion, manifestation vortex. Focus your energy with unwavering faith to manifest the outcome you require. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's move into the tarot clarifications here. I'll try to expand on these as we go along. But as always, Gemini, really do appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And I do hope things are going well for you. All right. All right, let's see what we have here. You have the Devil, 5 of Cups, and Judgment. Devil, 5 of Cups, and Judgment. 14 into 15, the Devil. Temperance into the Devil. What I will say is, like, how are you using the downtime that you've created for yourself? You know? How are you actually spending the time? Because the Devil, it can sort of, the idea of the Devil is it sort of is like something we do that pulls us away from our path. It's something we do that pulls us away from our dharma, you know, the path that we're supposed to be on. And that's just like a natural part of, like, this is a natural experience, you know, that we all have here. And, you know, maybe there's something that you're doing that is pulling you away from your dharma, your path, so to speak. And there's an opportunity, I would suggest that there's a real opportunity for you here to take time to heal, to recover, to rejuvenate. And with that Devil energy here, as well as the 5 of Cups, be careful that you do not dip into a past pattern or habit that is perhaps taking you further away from where you want to go, okay? Some of you may also be dwelling on something. There may be an energy of dwelling, and maybe there's like a tendency to maybe use that free time that you have to dwell on something, okay? The 5 of Cups can indicate sadness, even heartbreak, and so I would just throw that out as like like a heads up or just like a suggestion here. If you do have a period of time, like, try to make the most of it, you know, and try to, you know, come out of that free time or that vacation or whatever it is that you're doing in a really solid place, if you can, you know, if you can. Easier said than done. But you have the Judgment card as well. Judgment card, it represents major realizations, okay? And it is definitely a spiritual card in that this person's coming out of the coffin and they're kind of experiencing their judgment or realizing their fate. In other words, they're realizing the importance of their actions, you know? They're realizing the importance of their actions up to this point. And so it can represent like some sort of like revelation that you may have, personal revelation that you may have. And again, this may come during a period of downtime or rest. You have the King of Pentacles. You have the Queen of Cups. And you have the Knight of Wands. So we now have more court cards coming in here to clarify. So that would be 3, 4, 5 court cards. Oh no, 6. I always miss the page. All right, I always miss the page. Right. So all of these cards can indicate people that show up in your life in some way to either support you or just be a part of your story. They can also be aspects of yourself, right? So the Knight of Wands with the 6 of Wands is a great combination. Knight of Wands, you know, this is sort of like boldly going in a direction, you know, and fearlessly and boldly going in a certain direction. You know, Knights can represent events that may happen for you in life. This one may indicate a move or a relocation. It could also indicate travel. But it's also like, as an aspect of yourself, it may be a jack of all trades. You may have a lot of different skills. But generally, the Knight of Wands is a card you want to see in the tarot, particularly as it's combined with like a success card. So any sort of move or action that you may take here at some point in the month after some period of rest, I think could be pretty well aspected or manifested for you here. Queen and King of Cups, counterparts in the tarot. Some of you, there may be a scenario here with a significant other that you're working through at this time. You know, it doesn't seem like negative. It just, maybe there's just something that you're working through at this time. It could be connected to a move or long-term goals or plans for your future. you know, for sure. King of Pentacles is all about your habits and your routines. So when you get the devil with the King of Pentacles, it's sort of like, is there a habit or routine that's not supporting your dharma, the path you're supposed to be on? Let's see what else. We've got another court card here, Page of Swords, Three of Swords, and the Hierophants. So with the Page of Swords, this can be like difficult communication. It can be communication that comes in and is delayed in some way, so it can represent a delay. There's something that you're waiting on here and I think the waiting game is kind of crushing you at this time, because you have this like passive energy, you've got some active energy, but then you also here have this Eight of Swords with the Page of Swords. That's like this like feeling of waiting, and the time you spend waiting is the real test. I'm sure many of you have experienced like needing to hear a result back, or needing to see what the outcome is of something, the ruling is of something, and then the time between now and the outcome is sort of like, it's tough, right? You're kind of just having a hard time dealing with the waiting game. It's this idea of the waiting game. And I think that there's something like that going on here. So I would say, like, really try to make the most of the time that you have. I keep saying that, but it's coming in confirmation after confirmation. You have the Three of Swords, which can represent a separation or a breakup in the tarot. If it's not a breakup, the idea is that some of you just need to part with something or separate from something. And this could be just a person. This could be a non-romantic person. Anybody in your life here. Could be an air sign. Could be anyone. But there could be like some challenges that some of you are facing with someone. You then have the Hierophant, which can indicate offers, in this case, from maybe organizations, or yes, like big organizations or corporations can fit under the definition of Hierophant. So there could be like some offer or opportunity there. Particularly for those of you who are looking for raises or employment. That's actually a really positive sign for those of you who are looking for that. I would also say the Hierophant can indicate tradition as well. There may be an opportunity to break free from tradition here with the Knight of Wands. This is a non-traditional person, the Knight of Wands. This is somebody who marches to the beat of their own drum. They don't necessarily, they're unique. They don't necessarily need to do what everyone else does. So there's something like that may also be coming forward. You then have the Ten of Wands. It's been coming in for a lot of people, this Ten of Wands card, It can represent a burden that some of you are carrying. I think it's the burden of time. I think it's the burden of time, Like, in this type of reading, it feels like that. Why don't we go ahead and let's take a look at clarifying. Okay, let's take a look at clarifying these cards even further. Okay, so you have Message, Main Female, Thief, Expectation, Family Room, and Despair. I did, the Hierophant can also connect to elders in the tarot. I was thinking, like, maybe there's a family vibe here. It really isn't a love reading. There's maybe something going on right now, yeah. And with community and all of these court cards, there are definitely other people involved in your timeline or your storyline right now. These people are playing a pretty critical role. This imprisonment card is similar to the Eight of Swords. That's the way I view it, right? In that some of you feel like you need to get out from something, okay, or out of something. And, the solution, it may take a little bit of time because there's definitely some passive energy here. But as I said, I think things are really going to pick up as the month progresses. And the influence of the sun here is very good. So, yeah, you do have unexpected income on the bottom. I like that. Universe trying to bless you with something here, for sure. Regardless, Gemini, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll most certainly be talking to you again soon.